down. All I want you to do is just drop that ass down. Drop that ass. Already got one.
Week 8 in the books. It was good for some of you. It was bad for some other people, including your boy. But sorry this video is a little late, a little busy of the week. Wife and I just put a contract down on a house under contract. So sorry it's coming a little late. Had some stuff to do, but I'll try and keep this one a little bit quicker since we're a couple days into this. My team just put up a very poor effort against Sawyer. Sawyer showing he's currently the top dog. Would have been 9-0 this week. No problems for him. Sawyer on top. Tim getting a much-needed W versus Nick. Not that it was that close of a matchup, but Tim on a 2-game win streak. John beating up on Jackson. Tom beating Drew. And I'm trying to remember, this matchup was actually really close. This was a good matchup between Tom and Drew. We'll get into it. And then Alec and Chris also had a fairly close matchup as well. Chris coming out on top, looking good in that 5th playoff spot. Okay, Sawyer and I, not much you can do, and Sawyer knows this all too well from a couple years ago, but not much you can do when your best players just don't play. Missing Curry for a game, missing Wiggins for the whole week, missing AD for a couple games. When those guys aren't playing, you can't expect to win. We split percentages, but Sawyer's team balled out, had the most threes in the league this week with 91. He also had the most rebounds, assists, and blocks, and him and I were tied. Myself, Sawyer, Tom, and Chris all had 10 double-doubles apiece. Despite that, team didn't look too good. I was only a handful of turnovers away from setting the weekly record and didn't have much to show for it otherwise, but Sawdog looking good and back in first place. Russell Westbrook, calling him the MVP, dude. Only had 55 points, but also had 27 rebounds, 27 assists, 6 steals, and 1 triple-double. Russell Westbrook, in our 11-cat league, has been a top 40 player over the last 2 weeks in total categories. And I think at the time when I did this on Monday, he was top 70 or top 80 in average on the season. So, in averages over the last 2 weeks or a month, something like that. He's been playing a lot better. Field goal still isn't where he want it to be, but he's contributing like I think Sawyer hoped he would. Like I said, Sawyer would have been 9-0, back up in first place, 7-1-0, and I dropped down to second. Only would have been 2-5-2. Only would have beaten Nick and Jackson. Would have tied Drew and Alec. Tim and Nick, there's not much to talk about here. Nick, you left 11 players on your bench. I totaled up what all those categories would have been had you played them, and you still would have lost, but it would have been a lot closer. Nick had the both best percentages, lowest turnovers. Tim was tied with Sawyer, John, and Tom for having a triple-double. This one isn't that exciting. MVP for Tim's always going to be Jokic almost every single week, and the fact that he got to play Nick. Tim, 2-game winning streak. One half game, I believe, out of a playoff spot. Would have been 8-1, only would have lost to Sawyer. Nick drops down to last place, 8-1, would have tied Jackson, and lost to everybody else. 2-game losing streak for Nick. John and Jackson. John, this is a pretty clean sweep. Jackson's team is hurt. Booker's hurt now. Tatum's been in a shooting slump. I think there's one other person hurt on your team. But MVP for John's going to be Drew Holiday. Dude hit 90 points, 26 rebounds, 30 assists, 5 steals, and a double-double. Let's see. John up into third place would have been 5-4. Only would have lost to Sawyer, Tim, Tom, and Chris on a 1-game winning streak. Meanwhile, Jackson also would have been 8-1. Only would have tied Nick. 1-game losing streak, tied for 9th with Nick at a record 2-6-0. Tom versus Drew. This ended up being a really good matchup. It shows that Tom won 7-4, but they are within, let's see here, within about 20 percentage points for field goal, separated by only 9 3-pointers, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 13 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks, 5 turnovers. The biggest gap here is Tom having 10 double-doubles to Drew's 1, but this could have easily gone the other way and won for Drew. This was a good win for Tom and a unfortunate loss for Drew. His team's been not playing great. I believe he's been losing quite a few games. Drew is on a 5-game losing streak, but if he could have nabbed this one to end the streak, that would have been good. MVP for Tom's going to be Joel Embiid, 639 from the floor, 889 from the stripe, 130 points scored, 31 rebounds, and 2 double-doubles on the week. And finally to Alec and Chris. These guys separated by 9 thousandths of a percentage point in field goals, separated by thousandths, hundreds. Free throw was fairly close, separated by 6 threes, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 block, 9 turnovers. But Chris comes out ahead with 10 double-doubles. MVP for Chris is going to be Clint Capella, 703 from the field, 57 points scored, 53 rebounds, 5 blocks, 4 double-doubles. Chris only wins by a block, won by 3 double-doubles, and only won by 3 rebounds. So Clint's going to do it for you. Chris would have been 6-2-1 this week, only would have lost to Sawyer and Tim and would have tied Tom. Meanwhile, Alec would have been 2-5-2. Only would have beaten Nick and Jackson, would have tied myself and Drew. 1-game losing streak for Alec, but he's still in 6th place. MVP for the week is going to be Nikola Jokic, 83 points, 30 rebounds, 31 assists, 5 blocks, 2 double-doubles, and a triple-double. We got some pretty good matchups coming up. Tom versus Chris. That could be a good playoff one right there, seeing as though they're back-to-back. John and Alec. Maybe Alec's team can hit a little upswing and put up a fight versus John. Tim versus Jackson. Jackson, unfortunately, is good as the top, I've said this so many times, your top 6 of 7 picks are. If some of those guys are hurt, it's going to be hard to compete because of the back half of your draft. But Tim's team isn't no walk in the park either, so who knows who's going to win that. We got Sawyer versus Drew. Sawyer's lost to another out-of-playoff team recently. Drew could throw an upset, or Sawyer could just absolutely demolish him. And then it's me versus Nick. Nick, set your lineup. Lastly, seeing as though this is the 2-month... it's been 2 months in the league, I'm also sending a couple other data sheets. Top 3 in each category of player and the total. I've also got our team ranks based on total in all of the categories so far. Feel free to look at them if you want. Good luck this week, boys. And for the love of God, set your lineups.